Now, in a move that allows the Government of India to designate individuals like JEM Chief Masood Azhar and LET Chief Hafiz Saeed as terrorists, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment Bill 2019 has been passed in the lower house of Parliament. But it wasn't before a fierce debate in the lower house that the bill was finally cleared. The opposition termed the bill as draconian. Listen in to reactions that came from Parliament today.
Madam, this bill violates Article 14 and 21. The government is taking over the judicial independence under Article, which is guaranteed under Article 50. As the law present stands, if I am called a terrorist, I can only be called a terrorist after a court convicts me. It cannot be on the basis of the feelings of the government or on the mere suspension. I have to be given a judgment by a court of law, then only I am called a terrorist. Now, what this government is doing, bona fide, they don't have any bona fide. You suspect on your feelings, you call X a terrorist, and there are not many legal consequences. Social ostracization, police knocking at 2 a.m. in the morning, the area people telling please vacate the flat or the house because you are called a terrorist. And what is the procedure, madam? 35, in 35 section 30 the government says we'll call you terrorist. 36 I appeal, the government rejects it. Then the government forms a review committee. The review committee rejects. Where is the independence?
चलो मान लो सरकार के दबाव में अफसरों ने, सरकार ने निर्णय किया, तो उसके पर रिटायर्ड हाईकोर्ट जज के नेतृत्व में एक रिव्यू कमेटी है जो इस पर विचार करेगी। और अगर वहां पर भी रिव्यू कमेटी, ओवैसी साहब ने कह दिया, मान्यवर की रिव्यू कमेटी रिजेक्ट कर देगी। अब अपील भी उन्होंने कर दी, जज भी वो बन गए, परिणाम भी उन्होंने घोषित कर दिया। क्यों रिजेक्ट करेगी? भला ठीक नहीं है तो हाईकोर्ट के जज किसी के इशारे पर चलेंगे? हम हाईकोर्ट के रिटायर्ड जज पर भी श्रद्धा नहीं रखेंगे मान्यवर? श्रीमान, मैं कहना चाहता हूं, रिव्यू कमेटी भी अगर इसको रिजेक्ट करती है तो इसके खिलाफ कोर्ट में जाने का अधिकार हर व्यक्ति को है, और वो अबाधित अधिकार है जिसको कोई कानून ने, इस कानून ने नहीं ले लिया।
These laws will force people to rebel against tyranny. You are following in the rightful steps of Congress party. I welcome that. You have seen their state. It is up to you. I conclude by dedicating this speech to those people who have lost their livelihood under this draconian act. History will absolve me, as Castro said, madam, and I hope that this government will have a zero tolerance on miscarriage of justice, because we have not got justice from either BJP in power or Congress in power. All such draconian laws have only been used against Muslims and Dalits, which has been very unfortunate. I condemn both of these parties.
आतंकवाद को खत्म करने के लिए जिस प्रकार की अर्जेंसी की कानून की जरूरत है, उसको ध्यान में रखकर हमने आया। आपने धैर्य से सबको सुना है, किसी को टोका नहीं, रोका नहीं, सब बोलते रहे। कल का बिल चल रहा है, आज दोपहर लंच भी नहीं कराया आपने, अभी भी चल रहा है। तो पूरे पर्याप्त चर्चा इस पर हुई है, मगर आतंकवाद के खिलाफ जो कानून बन रहा है उसको उसके पक्ष में वोट देने से वोट बैंक नाराज हो, इस भय से अगर उनको जाना है तो हम कुछ नहीं करेंगे।
Let's go across to Nikunj Garg for more on this. Nikunj is joining us on the phone line. Nikunj, a fierce debate in Parliament. The Home Minister replying point by point to all the apprehensions raised by many members about the draconian, so-called draconian nature of the amendment. He's of course said that he's only making an amendment in a law that the previous government bought, and he's also outlined there'll be no, absolutely zero appeasement policy for either left-wing terror or urban naxalism, as he called it, or any other anti-state exercise.
Well, absolutely, sir. I mean, from his side, the Home Minister gave ample assurances. There is no dearth of assurances that have come in from the government, and to my understanding, there is also no dearth of the safeguards in the law itself. The crisis emanates where the law enforcers themselves overlook certain provisions in the law or misuse certain provisions in the law. So to allay those fears also, there are provisions of supervision by a tribunal and by a committee of a retired High Court judge in the UAPA itself, which those provisions have also been rightfully extended to the amended clauses of the UAPA for provisions part 3. So therefore, I think, there are enough safeguards available. and assurances have come from the Home Minister himself on the floor of the House. But because the opposition is not convinced, the Congress staged a walkout, and AIM, Chief Asaduddin obviously rightly, very strongly actually criticized the government for abusing these laws.
All right, we also have Megha Prasad joining us, my colleague, live right now on the broadcast. Megha, the Home Minister, of course, adopting a tough stance, suggesting there'll be absolutely no tolerance for anti-state activities, whether it comes from urban Naxals, as he called them, or any other anti-state individual or group here. He's also said that there is very little to no chance of it becoming draconian because there are enough safety measures put in place by the government.
Well, Amit Shah today had to, calm the opposition down. He attempted to do so because the Congress, obviously the entire of the opposition was led by the Congress. First, of course, they wanted this bill to be sent to the Joint Select Committee. They wanted this bill to be scrutinized and reviewed and not passed in the Lok Sabha just like that. But then, the government had made it absolutely clear on 8th of July, I believe, if I'm not wrong, 8th of July of this month, when they introduced the bill in the Lok Sabha, they'd made it absolutely clear that they want it passed as soon as possible. Even today, you had, the opposition getting up and walking out at the time of the voting a little after around 3:15 today in the afternoon. Mr. Owaisi also objecting, making very strong objections on various clauses in this act. But then Mr. Amit Shah's reply to the House today effectively centered around the fact that when you are dealing with terrorism, you really need tough laws. The entire of the world, many of the countries, and he cited right from United States to Israel, even down to Pakistan, saying all of these countries have it. Why cannot India have a law on the same lines? Also going on to say that, when you are looking at defeating terrorism, you got to be 4 steps ahead of the terrorist. And that's one reason why a law of this nature has been brought in. He, of course, tried to pacify by suggesting that there are enough safeguards when it comes to these amendments that have been proposed in the act. But Athar, all said and done, the House today, the lower house today, passed the UAPA bill by 287, which is obviously the BJP has more than 300 members there in the Lok Sabha. But the problem is going to occur when this goes to the Rajya Sabha. What is the government going to do about it? Because in Rajya Sabha they do not have enough numbers. The opposition, of course, is there to this particular bill, the form in which it has been passed by the Lok Sabha, and that's going to be the real tough challenge for the government, in terms of turning this bill into a law. Now we know, even though officially it's not been announced, the session is going to be extended till about 10 more working days, which is till 9th of next month. So the government has enough time, but it looks unlikely, very unlikely, that the opposition would relent in the Rajya Sabha, and that's where the challenge is going to be for the government.
All right, there you go. Thank you for joining us, Megha and Nikunj. Let's also go across now to my colleague Padmaja Joshi joining us. I believe, Padmaja, you have Aparna Sen with you currently. Over to you now.
Thanks very much. In fact, filmmaker Aparna Sen live with us right now, and let's go straight across to her. Ma'am, since morning, there has been quite a flutter about the letter that you have written along with certain other colleagues of yours from the film industry, other fields of art. Why now? Most people are asking this. Why now?
Actually, the letter had been composed by a whole lot of us, and it was being exchanged, and people were making suggestions, and the suggestions were being implemented, or something was being deleted, something was being added. It took quite a long time. It just so happens that it came up now. Somebody asked me today, one of the journalists, that this is Parliament in session, why now? And I said, it's, in fact, I could call it a happy coincidence, because maybe it will be taken cognizance of.
So ma'am, if I can stop you there, you said it's been in the works for a while. What was the catalyst? At what point did you decide that all of you need to get together and write to the Prime Minister?
Because we were all talking to one another, and everybody seemed very concerned about the fact that there were so many lynchings going on, cow lynchings, lynching of Dalits and minorities, Christians, and so on. And also,
ma'am, can you name specifically which case is it that
younger people,
that galvanized you to write this, which horrified you to write this? Because in the last 12 months...
One of them was Pelu Khan.
Okay.
One of them was Pelu Khan. But you know what happened? What our young members did here is that they looked up they did the research and the fact finding. And one of the research agencies is the National Crime Records Bureau.
Ma'am, since you mentioned Pelu Khan, a quick aside on Pelu Khan. Pelu Khan, after being killed, like you mentioned, by cow vigilantes, has also been now booked by the Rajasthan government. And Ashok Gehlot, who's the chief minister there, will you separately also be writing to the Rajasthan government about this act, which seems really out of place considering the man is dead and now he's going to be prosecuted for illegally ferrying cattle?
Why we wrote to the Prime Minister as opposed to the state ministers, except for our own state, why we wrote to the Prime Minister is because he's the Prime Minister of the entire country.
Right.
And he has in Parliament, he has actually criticized lynching. So all we wanted to say was, please Mr. Prime Minister, make this a non-bailable offence, whether in Rajasthan, whether in Bihar, whether in Bengal, wherever anybody is lynched.
Right.
Just make it a non-bailable offence and put these people behind bars so that other people don't make examples of them. Make it an exemplary punishment so that people don't dare to lynch anymore. This is just taking the law into your own hands.
Which is a great thought, ma'am. And actually the Supreme Court also...
It's happening.
Correct. So the Supreme Court has also directed the state governments to come up with such a law, and Uttar Pradesh is in the process, along with Madhya Pradesh, to draft such a law. But you know, the intention you said was just to ensure that more such crimes don't take place. But in the course of doing that, to say that Jai Shri Ram has become a provocative, and I quote, war cry, isn't that an exaggeration at best, and many would say fear-mongering at worst?
May I answer?
Please go on.
May I answer?
Yes, ma'am, go on.
Okay. So, if you might remember that I was the first one to support the cry of Jai Shri Ram and criticize Mamata Banerjee for reacting the way she did, because in this country, Article 19 gives you, according to our constitution, gives you the right to say anything you like, provided you are not inciting people to violence. Okay. Now, Jai Shri Ram by itself is a fine cry. It's a religious chant. If you embrace somebody saying Jai Shri Ram, I have no problem with it. But if you kill somebody saying Jai Shri Ram, then it's a problem, and that is what is happening.
What can the Prime Minister do about that?
In fact, we've appealed to the Prime Minister. Just a minute.
Yes.
He can make this, make this non-bailable. If he makes it non-bailable, it will stop.
But ma'am, a crime is a crime.
If he makes exemplary punishments, it will stop.
Those people are not killing others because they chant Jai Shri Ram. Those people kill others because they are criminals.
No, but they are killing, but people are doing it in the name of Jai Shri Ram, and the name of Ram, which is so sacred to many in our community, should not be defiled in this manner.
I completely agree with you there, ma'am, but also maybe...
It is sacred to so many people.
Maybe, ma'am, the entire cry of Jai Shri Ram could be used as an excuse as well. Is that also a consideration? Because in the recent past, and I could list out for you if you like, there are at least 7 cases where it has been found that initial allegations being made of people beating up, especially members of the Muslim community, and forcing them to say Jai Shri Ram, I regret to say this, are completely false. They have turned out to be without any substance. They were made up cases.
Well, we have been quoting very, very trusted authorities.
Ma'am, this is from the police. Actually, in Jalgaon, Yavatmal,
we have been quoting
and Aurangabad, I can quote specific instances to you. In Yavatmal, the complainant has given a testimony to the police saying a third party forced him to make the allegation that I was forced to say Jai Shri Ram, and when I didn't, I was beaten. In the case of Jalgaon, circumstantial evidence did not even support the claim that any such attack had taken place. In 4 cases, Maharashtra police is going to file a closure report because they found that the claim of Jai Shri Ram was unsubstantiated. And then to make a sweeping generalization and say that Jai Shri Ram has become a war
yes,
cry.
But there are so many.
It could be hurtful, ma'am, don't you think?
It has become a war cry because people, just a minute, people who actually lynch saying Jai Shri Ram themselves take videos and post it themselves.
Ma'am, could you name an instance?
Because they feel empowered to do so.
Could you name an instance?
Well, there are so many that it's difficult to name. You're getting it all the time on WhatsApp. You're seeing it all the time in the newspapers. And we have also quoted very, trusted authorities about hate crimes. First of all, we have
NCRB figure is from
all hate crimes.
2016.
And Jai Shri Ram.
That is about atrocities against Dalits.
2016 and.
But for Jai Shri Ram, there are no real figures as to quantify whether a crime was under the garb of Jai Shri Ram.
Because Jai Shri Ram, we are seeing in the papers every day, and you're saying that all the newspapers and all the television channels except yours are all making up fake news.
Ma'am, actually in the papers itself, I can quote to you instances where on day 1 an allegation has been reported and on day 2 the follow-up is also reported. My concern is, ma'am, sometimes the explanation for what happened or the correction of what was reported the previous day is not noticed. For example, again, everyone remembers what was reported in Gurugram on the day of Holi when 2 families fought and 1 Muslim family was beaten up by another Hindu family. Turns out later it was a brawl not connected at all to anyone's religion. Something very similar happened in Unnao, where a group of young children while playing cricket were beaten up. They went on radio, they went on camera and said we were forced to say Jai Shri Ram, and named people who it turned out later were not even present on the spot, ma'am. And then these instances get quoted later to create a narrative that Jai Shri Ram is what you call a war cry. Isn't it unfair?
Well, in that case, yes. I'm sure there are some cases of such instances that you have reported. But that doesn't take away from the fact that there is a large majority of cases where people are lynching in the name of Jai Shri Ram.
Ma'am, could you name one?
That is sad. I can't name one because there are so many.
Right.
I can't name one because there's so many. They're reported all the time. As I said, you are saying that you're, I think, quoting about 7 cases where this happened, which doesn't take away from the fact
7
that
cases that I have named right now, ma'am.
Where this does happen.
7 cases off the top of my head that I can name right now.
So you're
there are
saying
3
that
in
all
Maharashtra.
the other cases are false?
No, ma'am, they are not.
Yeah.
But
so
in those cases, if I could just come back to you on that.
All of the cases. No, just a minute. You're saying what it seems like you're suggesting that all the cases where people have been lynching in the name of Jai Shri Ram are all false.
Not in the least. In fact, I will quote to you a specific example. Maybe you were referring to this, the killing of Tabrez Ansari. And in that case, ma'am, there have been arrests made. But despite that, when you write a letter to the Prime Minister, may I ask again, what do you expect him to do? He has already, the state government, first of all, this is a law and order subject, which is a state subject. The Jharkhand government has acted. Could they have done better? Should they have prevented the lynching? Yes, maybe they should have. But again, I want to ask you, what possibly can the Prime Minister do in these individual cases?
The Prime Minister we are actually strengthening his hand. He himself has actually condemned lynchings on the floor of the Parliament. We are strengthening his hand. We are appealing to him as the highest executive of the country. to see to it that these lynchings are made non-bailable offences. That's all.
So, are you saying that in this letter there was no effort to try and paint the government as one that, and I'm just paraphrasing what you said in the letter, that brands anyone who speaks out against authority as anti-national, that tacitly, if not overtly, encourages lynching, and which remains mute when people use Jai Shri Ram as a war cry? That is not the intent of the letter.
The intent of the letter is exactly what it says. Please see it exactly as it says. That we are appealing to the highest authority, the highest executive, to stop all this and to see to it that people who dissent, who are not against the ruling party, are not branded. Just now I did an interview, you know, with another TV channel,
yes,
where I was immediately branded urban Naxal. Now, how am I an urban Naxal is something that I fail to understand. This labeling is done continuously.
Are you suggesting that's at the behest of the Prime Minister? Individual opinions, I do not condone that statement at all, but that could be an individual opinion. Or are you saying that's filtering down from the government, or in this case the Prime Minister, this kind of branding or opinionating?
I don't know. These in this particular channel, these were BJP supporters in this particular channel.
Okay, so you're saying that this is the kind of thought process that is being condoned.
I'm sorry to have to say this. I'm sorry to have to say this because I'm sorry to have to say this. But when the Prime Minister says "Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas," we want to believe that. We are encouraged by that. But we do want him to intervene because he has the power to intervene.
Ma'am, actually not, because when a crime happens in a state and the Prime Minister personally intervenes, that will be seen as an attack on federalism. For example, there are attacks on political workers happening in West Bengal, in your state, ma'am, and the Home Ministry expressed concern to the West Bengal government, and that was quoted as an attack on federalism, that the Union Home Ministry is interfering in what is happening.
No. What I'm saying is that if lynchings and hate crimes are made non-bailable offences, that law, if such a law is passed, then, you know, people will not dare to do these things.
But ma'am, that has to be done at the level of the state. Again, what will the Prime Minister do? It is already being considered at the state level on the instructions of the Supreme Court. It's in the works.
Well, I think the Prime Minister can use his influence to enforce these things.
All right, ma'am, finally...
We appeal to the Prime Minister because he is the highest authority.
Okay. Ma'am, would you also...
Because he is the highest authority. In fact, by making a public statement like this, we are in fact strengthening his hand.
And you think that his past pronouncements have been effective and he is at least making an effort to try and clamp down on those who engage in such crimes?
Well, I certainly hope so. Yes, I certainly hope so, because he said so in Parliament and we want to believe him.
Okay. In conclusion, I want to ask you, ma'am, you know, there have been cases also reported, because the general feeling is that there is a selectivism. Such letters started appearing only post 2014. I need not even quote to you the statistics for before that. In fact, it is only a few days ago where the union government has actually said on the floor of the House on the 24th of July, where they said the incidents of communal violence show a declining trend. Public order and police are state subjects as per the provisions of the Constitution. The responsibility of maintaining law and order, including dealing with communal violence, is with the state government, but the operative part is that communal violence is on a decline. Yet such letters surface only now. Is this aimed or directed at the BJP? That's the allegation made against you.
Violence is on the decline?
Yes, it is. According to the Home Ministry.
I'll tell you something. I was the editor of a magazine not very long ago. Up to some time ago, I have been editing magazines, and in my editorials, I have always condemned any hate crimes that have happened. So I've been vocal all the time about these things. I was vocal in my film, Mr. and Mrs. Iyer.
But ma'am, you've never
which even
written
the
the letter
BJP
before.
liked.
And if I may say so, there was also no letter
Yeah,
when there
now
was
we
a
feel
spate
that
of
it is
killings and
important
violence in
because we
West
had
Bengal in the lead up to the elections. Some of which I have personally seen in Bashirhat, for example, where people said that our houses were burned down only because we were supportive of the BJP. No letter, ma'am.
Yeah, no letter, but we have complaints to the Chief Minister, whom we have some access to. We thought we wouldn't have any access to the Prime Minister.
Okay. All right. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much.
We have written. We have been to Bhatpara. Let me tell you, we have been to Bhatpara. We have been to Kakinada. We have seen what has been happening over there. And we've made a report to the Chief Minister.
You think that's
it's
a
not
form
as
of
though
mob
we've not been
violence?
doing anything about our own state. We start with our own state.
And Mamata Banerjee should
I
take
don't think
cognizance?
it was mob violence. I think it was parties clashing.
Okay.
Obviously she should. She has the state machinery in her hand. She should stop it.
All right. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much, ma'am, for having spoken to us here on Times Now.